Welcome, crypto fam, to No One Daily Bitcoin Pod. In today's show, I'll be sharing the latest Bitcoin technical analysis, as well as breaking news just in. MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy B, to raise $722.5 million to buy more Bitcoin. We'll also be discussing Tornado Cash is officially legal, as well as Eminem's former sound engineer charged with selling the rapper's unreleased music for Bitcoin. That's right. Also, more breaking news. Eric Trump joins Metaplanet Strategic Board of Investors. Let's go. We'll also be discussing who's really running in Trump's race to make the United States a Bitcoin superpower. I'll be breaking that down for you. We'll also be discussing government can realize gains on gold certificates to buy Bitcoin. That's according to Bo Hines. That's right. So the Trump administration's budget neutral way to buy billions of dollars in Bitcoin, it's a done deal. Also, as predicted, Bitcoin is demonetizing gold, quoting the high priest of Bitcoin, Max Kaiser. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. If you're new to the channel, important to smash the likes, go ahead, subscribe, then ring the bell. Turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, 7 days a week, just like this. Today is pod episode 1940, meaning in 2 more months we hit episode 2000, making this the most consistent Bitcoin podcast to ever exist. And my name is JV. It's March 21st, 2025. Markets are correcting some, but there's lots of news out there. Again, happy TGIF. Let's get it. But anyways, let's kick it off with our market watch as we do each and every day. You can see pre-low biddy correcting, maintaining around 84,000 at the time of the live stream. Ether, BNB, and Tron barely in the red. XRP and most of the alts, many of, correcting and in the red. And checking out CoinMarketCap.com. The current crypto market cap sitting at a $2.75 trillion mark. The Bitcoin market cap sitting at $1.663 trillion. We got roughly 63 billion worth of volume for the past 24 hours. And the current Bitcoin dominance is 60.5%, with the Ether dominance back on the climb, but barely. Currently at 8.7%. And checking out top 100 crypto gainers past 24 hours, Cake leading the pack up 15%, followed by Bera up 11%, followed by Story up 8%. Which alts are you bullish on for the bull? Holla. And checking out the crypto bubbles. I like to use this so we get a visual perspective on the daily and for the month. And as you can see here, unfortunately for the day, the majority of the alts correcting, and in the red, I'd say 80 over 20, red over green. Let's actually do the week. We usually skip the week and go to the month. For the weekly, I'd say a mixed bag, maybe 60-40, green over red. And zooming out on the monthly, unfortunately, 95% wreck city. Blood on these streets in the crypto sphere. And checking out the Crypto Greed Inventory Index. We're currently rated a 31 back in fear. Yesterday was 49 neutral. Last week at 27, and last month at 44 in fear. And checking out the time chain calendar. We have 161,210 blocks until the halving of 2028. And we're currently on block number 888,790. And you currently exchange one fiat monopoly dollar for 1,192 sats. Pick up the sats, put down the gats, and pick up some Bitcoin caps from my man Sergio over at bitcoincaps.net. Next, let's dive into our TA, aka astrology for the broskies. And for today, we'll just pull up some of the live charts, do some live chart action, Jackson satisfaction. You feel me? Here you're looking at a 1 hour chart. There is a rising formation, as you can see, with those green lines, but we do have a bear target on the screen, currently sitting at 75,761. And do note, this is via Coinbase. And again, this is live via TradingView. And zooming out from the hourly chart, we'll take a look at a 4 hour. The 4 hour chart shows a rising wedge as well, but there's also a falling wedge before the rising wedge, interestingly enough. And we do have a few targets to be aware of. One is a double bottom bull target of 113.7, and then we have another target at 106,269, which would take us about maybe 3,000 away from price discovery, which was achieved Jan 20th, which is currently 109.3. And we also have a bear target here on the 4 hour chart, sitting at 75,776. My question for y'all, is the bottom in? As you know, maybe a week ago, we touched the 76 to 77 range, and many of the top analysts say the bottom is in, and we can start, ascending from here, recapture, price discovery potentially even by the end of this month, if not by April. But you guys let me know your thoughts, or do you think we'll likely retest that 77 level and potentially follow this target on the screen at 75? Let me know, and I'll read those comments here in a bit. And checking out the daily. The daily chart also is a rising wedge followed by a falling wedge, ironic enough. Two bull targets on the screen, the one in the red sitting at 114, and we have one just right about the same level, maybe in the 113, 114 range. Yep, 113.7 to be exact. And then we also have a bear target here on the daily chart sitting at 68,699, and a super bear target, which you ain't gonna see nothing near this in my opinion, but nonetheless, it shows $49,000 for the King Crypto. And zooming out from the daily, we take a look at a weekly. The weekly chart, holy moly. We also still have the sexy 124 cup and handle target, which in my opinion is in play, especially once we can recapture price discovery. I think that'll be the next logical leg up, somewhere between the 120 to 130 range. But you guys let me know your thoughts. And of course, we're going to get a new weekly close here on Sunday at around 6 p.m. The past couple of weeks, obviously it's been not moving much, pretty sideways. Itty bitty green candle close we had last Sunday, and the prior week was a mega bear candle, as you can see on your screen. And then we had another bear candle. So we've had several weeks of either bearishness or trading sideways, and hopefully we can recover and bounce back strong, especially for the month of April, if we don't finish strong here in the month of March. But nonetheless, speaking of the monthly, let's pull up the monthly chart. As you can see here, thus far, we're forming a red candle for the month. Last month was also a bearish close, unfortunately. January, we were in the green. December was in the red, and November was the most bullish candle of all time we've had since the inception of the Genesis block, which you can see the big Godzilla candle here on your screen. But also let me know if you think we'll likely close the month of March in the green or in the red. And then for the month of April, and obviously we're going to put a bow on Q1 here. There's only less than a couple of weeks left. And it is 420, so happy 420 in advance, of course, for the broskies. But yeah, let's dive into the latest from the Giga Chat, Mikey Saylor. Always a pleasure to see this. Michael Saylor tweeted, Strategy announces pricing of its Stripe perpetual preferred stock, offering to upsize the deal from $500 million to $722 million. Under promise, over deliver. That's this man right here. So yeah, big things ahead here. Let's break her down. Strategy has announced the pricing of its latest round of perpetual preferred stock, which the company does before announcing more Bitcoin acquisitions. According to Strategy, the latest round of preferred stock will be sold at $85 per share, and with a 10% coupon. What a nice man. It'll bring the company approximately $711 million in revenue, hence why he is called the Bitcoin Alchemist. Market analyst Jesse Myers said the annual 11.8% dividend distributed to the investors from the largest offering suggests Strategy can now siphon investors from the bond market, which only offers 4.2% interest. Strategy's most recent biddy purchase occurred March 17th. The company acquired 130 Bitcoin, valued at roughly $10 million. I think that was like their smallest Bitcoin acquisition of all time, bringing its total holdings to 499,226 BTC. So currently, Strategy has more than double the Bitcoin allocation than the United States government. So it's one of the largest holders in the world. BlackRock obviously has more than them, over 600,000, I believe. However, this is one of the, obviously, it's the first publicly traded company to even put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and they're just leading the way with corporate adoption. The March 17th acquisition was the company's smallest purchase on record, as I mentioned. However, Michael Saylor signaled that the company will raise more debt and sell more equity to fuel the accumulation of Bitcoin. And Saylor's loving these prices right now. If you were a billionaire purchasing billions of dollars of Bitcoin, would you rather do so at 80,000 or 180,000? Clear, right? It's clear. March 10th, Strategy announced it would periodically sell shares at an 8% Series A perpetual strike preferred stock as part of the plan to raise an additional $21 billion to buy more Bitcoin. Can someone run the math of today's prices? How much Bitcoin can Saylor purchase with $21 billion with today's price? Let me know. I'm curious. The company followed through on the March 18th by announcing the tranche of 5 million shares of Series A perpetual preferred stock to raise additional capital. Data from the Sailor Tracker shows the company is still up approximately 26% all-time on its investment and is sitting on over $8.6 billion in unrealized gains despite the recent market downturn. However, shares of Strategy declined by over 26% early March since their highest point in January of 2025 and plummeted by over 44% since the all-time high of roughly $543 reached on November 21st. Shares of Strategy are currently trading at around $299, up 29% from the recent low of $231 recorded March 11, 10 days ago. The company's inclusion in the NASDAQ 100, a weighted stock index that tracks 100 companies by market cap on the tech-focused stock exchange, injected fresh capital flows into the company, but also exposed it to the broader downturns within the tech market. And if you don't know, now you know. Also breaking news, privacy wins. Tornado Cash is officially legal. Roman Storm and Alexei should be immediately freed, pardoned, and reimbursed by the state for their invalid prosecution. As you know, the war on crypto under the Biden administration with Gary Gensler, they targeted the Tornado Cash developers. While it has been official, Tornado Cash is legal, so all criminal charges should be dropped. And if they're still in jail, I don't know all the details, they should be released. So that's good news for the crypto industry. And if you don't know, now you know. Yeah, so let's discuss this Eminem story, which kind of caught my interest. I'm like, that's interesting. Eminem's former sound engineer charged with selling the rapper's unreleased music for Bitcoin. Now, many rappers have exposure to Bitcoin. There's been stories we've covered over the years. I've been doing this podcast for like, I don't know, 7 years or so. And I know 50 Cent was collecting Bitcoin for albums. I know Eminem is a Bitcoin holder. I know Logic is a Bitcoin holder. I would assume all the smart people in hip hop, or just smart people in general, are Bitcoin holders. And especially if you're, worth hundreds of millions or potentially billions of dollars and you have that level of influence. Let's break this down. A former sound engineer for award-winning rapper Eminem, also known as Marshall Mathers, Chicka Slim Shady, was charged on Wednesday with stealing the rapper's unreleased music and selling it for Bitcoin, according to federal prosecutors. Joseph Strange, 46, allegedly sold 25 of Eminem's unfinished songs to a Canadian man he met on the internet in exchange for $50,000 worth of Bitcoin. According to the criminal complaint filed in Michigan on Wednesday, prosecutors allege that Strange stole the songs from Effigy, Eminem's music studio that's based in Michigan, and the Strange worked for Eminem between 2007 and 2021. Quoting them here, it's important for people to understand that a criminal complaint is merely a set of allegations signed by the prosecutor and publicized by a press release. Well, that does make a good point, and that's exactly what a lawyer would say that's representing this guy. We haven't even been in the courtroom yet, let alone had the allegations tested by a judge or jury. That's where these allegations belong. Now, in a statement provided by the Detroit Free Press on Wednesday, a spokesperson from Eminem said, the significant damage caused by a trusted employee to Eminem's artistic legacy and creative integrity cannot be overstated, let alone the enormous financial losses incurred by many of the creators and collaborators that deserve protection for their decades of work. A representative for Eminem did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Strange is being charged with criminal infringement of a copyright and interstate transportation of stolen goods for leaking the songs without Eminem's consent, according to the complaint. The charges come after employees at the rapper's music studio discovered some of Eminem's unreleased music was available on online platforms, including YouTube and Reddit. Go figure. This triggered an FBI investigation, according to the court documents. Strange is allegedly heavily involved with Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining, and according to the witnesses interviewed in the complaint, would only accept payment for the music in crypto. Strange faces up to 5 years in prison and a fine of $250,000 if convicted. Obviously, it's all allegations right now. On the charge of criminal copyright infringement, and faces the maximum penalty up to 10 years in prison if convicted. On the charge of interstate transportation of stolen goods, in 2002, the number of tracks on his Eminem Show album were being sold online. Now, that was actually one of my favorite Eminem albums. It brings back memories. That was around the time after I graduated high school, FYI. I graduated class of 2001. So anyways, and on the street by pirates before the intended release date, forcing the rapper to move up the album's release to minimize the financial losses. So there you have it. What are your thoughts on that? And I guess you got to be very careful who you keep in your inner circle. especially when you have that level of influence and people can make money off of your creation, in this case, his music. Pretty wild, but not surprised. I mean, this probably happens quite often, I would assume, with music leaking, right? That's how so much music does leak in the first place. But next story of the day, family. Here's the latest with the Trumpster, not Donald, but Eric. He joins Metaplanet Strategic Board of Investors. Let's get her. Bitcoin stacking firm Metaplanet appointed U.S. President Trump's son Eric to its newly established Strategic Board of Advisors to further Metaplanet's mission to become the global leader of the Bitcoin economy. Quoting the Metaplanet CEO Simon Jurovich, his business acumen, love the Bitcoin community, and global hospitality perspective with the invaluable and accelerating Metaplanet's vision of becoming the world's leading Bitcoin treasury companies. Let's go. They also added, as a globally recognized business leader and entrepreneur, Eric Trump brings a wealth of experience in real estate, finance, brand development, and strategic business growth, and has become a leading voice and advocate of digital asset adoption worldwide. So this is big news. I mean, Trump's one of the biggest names in the world, if not the biggest name in the world. So I think this was a very fantastic move on behalf of Metaplanet. It's definitely going to get a lot of attention now. The move is part of Metaplanet's plan to establish a board of influential voices, speakers, and thought leaders around the world who are committed to furthering Bitcoin adoption. Yo, Metaplanet CEO Simon, reach out to the Nipinator. He's all about Bitcoin adoption. We got your back, broski. Metaplanet shares increased 17.8% to 4,730 Japanese yen, which is $31.74 USD, over the first 80 minutes of the March 21st trading day on the Tokyo Stock Exchange. And as you can see, here's the official announcement from the CEO of Metaplanet, Simon. Metaplanet thrilled to welcome Trump to our newly formed Strategic Board of Advisors, and his business expertise and passion for the Biddy will help drive our mission towards as we continue building one of the world's leading Bitcoin treasury companies. And here's a photo of them together rocking, it looks like a Metaplanet hat, but I can't read it. Nice orange hats here in the suits. Metaplanet currently holds 3,050 Biddy, worth nearly $4.1 billion, making it the 12th largest corporate Bitcoin holder. Bitbo's BitcoinTreasuries.net data shows the Japanese-based investment firm is set to target and accumulate at least 10,000 Bitcoin before the end of this year. And Simon's firm has purchased 1,288 Biddies over the first 11 or so weeks of this year, a substantial rise in pace compared to last year, but not quite on track to reach the ambitious target. The company has been adopting a range of financial instruments to bolster its Bitcoin reserve since it made its first purchase on April 23rd last year. Meanwhile, Eric Trump has been a key contributor to the Trump family World Liberty financial crypto platform, which completed its second token sale in March of 2025, bringing its total funding to $550 million. The Trump-affiliated platform, World Liberty, currently holds 80.8 million worth of crypto assets. And FYI, they definitely distanced themselves from World Liberty Financial, because if you go to the website, they reworded everything. So they're distancing themselves from it, which is a smart move. They should have never involved themselves in the first place, but I digress. The president's son also recently revealed that his personal crypto holdings include Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, and Sui. So again, Eric Trump announced having Bitcoin, Ether, Solana, and Sui on a personal level. And if you don't know, now you know. Let's go. Yeah, Bitcoin superpower of the world. Making America. That was according to Trump as he gave that speech at the White House just the other day. We covered it on yesterday's pod. Let's dive deeper into that, and then we'll dive into our feature story discussing the United States government trading gold notes for Bitcoin, which is a neutral way where they don't have to use the taxpayer money to purchase the Bitcoin, which is pretty bullish, obviously. So yeah, here's the latest with Trump wanting to make the United States the Bitcoin superpower of the world. U.S. President Trump wants to make his country a Bitcoin superpower. Let me know if you watched the speech he gave. It was less than 3 minutes, but nonetheless, very profound, hence why it was our feature story yesterday. Speaking at the Blockworks Digital Asset Summit, March 20th, he shared, together we'll make America the undisputed Bitcoin superpower and the crypto capital of the world. The U.S. crypto industry has benefited greatly from preferential executive orders coming out of the Trump White House, including the establishment of the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, a move advocates regard as a key metric for Biddy adoption. However, many other countries, including major U.S. trade partners, are just not ready to take on Bitcoin as a reserve asset, begging the question of who the U.S. is competing against to become a Bitcoin superpower. That's right. Compared to major trade partners and geopolitical rivals, the U.S. is certainly far ahead of the game in terms of BIDI adoption. Neither the European Union, China, Mexico, nor Canada have taken such drastic steps towards institutionalizing the BIDI. China, the U.S.'s largest trade partner by far, and also its most prominent geopolitical opponent, has taken a strong stance against the asset, initially banning it outright before softening its approach slightly. China now allows mining operations, but strictly prohibits the use of Bitcoin. And overall, the government has preferred to concentrate its efforts on developing a retail central bank digital currency in the form of the digital yuan. The European Union, another major U.S. trade partner, passed its markets and crypto assets regulatory framework in May 2023, which came into full implementation by member states at the end of 2024. While the EU is ahead of the U.S. in terms of passing concrete legislation, it offers far less preferential terms to the industry than those expected in the U.S. parallel legislation currently circulating in Congress. Crypto user penetration in the EU is expected to remain essentially stagnant this year, and crypto's popularity is low overall amongst its wealthiest economies, which is mind-boggling. No member state has a Bitcoin reserve, even in crypto-friendly Switzerland, which saw $52 billion in U.S. service exports last year. There are limits to crypto endorsement and adoption. On March 1st, the Swiss National Bank president said Bitcoin wasn't suitable as a reserve asset, citing stability, liquidity concerns, and security risks and lizard folk. Germany's central bank chief also dismissed the idea of a Bitcoin reserve, while Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney previously criticized Bitcoin as being poor form of money. Again, I mean, what do you expect from lizard folk? Related, Canada's new Liberal Prime Minister means for crypto, South Korea doesn't really feel ready to hold Bitcoin as a reserve asset, with the Bank of Korea stating that Bitcoin is volatile and does not meet International Monetary Fund standards. Again, what do you expect from the lizard folk? However, North Korea is now holding like over 200,000 Bitcoin as they continue to do their hacks. Critics have questioned the strategic value of the U.S. Bitcoin Reserve and who it benefits in the long run. Cornell economist professor says this is neither a strategic nor sensible idea. I'd expect nothing less from the professor of these universities who basically are mouthpieces for the lizard folk, but I think you guys catch my drift. But the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve does neither of these, he says, and there is no great demand amongst Americans for Bitcoin. That's how you know it's FUD, saying nobody in the United States, there's no demand for Bitcoin. Are you shitting me? The president of the free world understands there's a demand for it. So who cares what these stupid university professors really have to think? Now, Charles Edwards wrote, this is the most underwhelming and disappointing outcome we could have expected for the week, but also not surprising. Looks like no tangible Bitcoin Strategic Reserve in 2025. No active buying means this is just a fancy title for Bitcoin holdings that already exist with the government. This is a pig in lipstick. However, we also have to consider there's net neutral ways where they don't have to use the taxpayer dollars to accumulate the Bitcoin. Here we go. Now for our feature story of the day. Government can realize gains on gold certificates to buy Bitcoin. And this is according to Bo Hines. That's right. As you can read here in the headline, if it's budget neutral and doesn't cost the taxpayers a dime, we'll see whatever creative ideas we can come up with. And you already know Michael Saylor probably came up with 101 ideas for the U.S. government to do just that. And one of the many ways is get rid of the fake gold, aka the gold derivatives, aka the gold certificates, and trade it for the hardest asset in human existence, Bitcoin. And here someone wrote, sell gold, buy Bitcoin. Shout out to the BTC archive. The Trump administration's budget neutral way to buy billions of dollars of Bitcoin, as broken out here. Eleanor Tourette and it looks like Jackie, but they actually have a conversation about that. And it's a very viable way. And Saylor already proposed that to Trump. And then Max Kaiser wrote, as predicted, Bitcoin is the monetizing gold. You're damn right. So yeah, the Trump admin appears poised to grow a strategic Bitcoin reserve after the White House Crypto Council had suggested budget neutral ways for acquiring the digital asset. There's been countless ideas about the government and how it can acquire more Bitcoin. Bo Hines, executive director of the President Council of Advisors on Digital Assets, said in a recent interview in the Crypto in America podcast, perhaps the best way of doing so would be to realize the gains on the government's gold certificates, which are priced far less than bullion is actually worth today. I'll actually point you to Cynthia Lummis's Bitcoin Act of 2025, in which she believes that we can identify the real, true value of some of these gold certificates. If we actually realize the gains on those holdings, that would be a budget neutral way to acquire more Bitcoin. Bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, bada Bitcoin. And as of the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis explains, all gold certificates held at the Fed banks are computed at a statutory price of $42.22 per troy ounce. That's crazy because right now on the spot market, gold is going for $3,000 an ounce. I mean, to me, it means there's more gold being sold than actually exists, hence derivatives. Not a good look. Senator Lummis proposed the Bitcoin Act of 2025, listing the Federal Reserve System gold certificates as one source of funding for Bitcoin purchases. Let's go. If it doesn't cost the taxpayers a dime, let's make her happen, Captain. The bill requires the Fed banks tender all outstanding gold certificates in their custody to the Treasury Secretary, so the Secretary can issue the new certificates that reflect the fair market value price of the gold held against such certificates by the Treasury. Hines said he is open to any ideas about how to grow the reserve, so as long as it doesn't cost a taxpayer a dime. That's the key. That's the crux of the budget neutral strategies for acquiring Bitcoin laid out by President Trump's March 6th executive order. So all of you fudsters saying the United States can't purchase anything, they're not going to purchase anything, blah, 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 blah. You're wrong. They are absolutely going to do so. They're not stupid. And with all the interagency working group actors that will convene in these meetings, I mean, we are going to hear some tremendous ideas about how we can do it. I just don't want the box us in yet what we actually looks like, because I want to be able to hear from everybody, including the Nippinator, new chairman of the SEC. The U.S. government currently holds roughly 207,000 of the Bitcoin seized in the criminal and civil proceedings. Ain't that ironic? The stolen Bitcoin gets stolen by the government, and the government still has roughly 100,000 Bitcoin belonging to Bitfinex. When you going to return it, U.S. government? Let me know. And during the interview, Hines reiterated the Bitcoin special status, suggesting the White House Crypto Council was treating the strategic reserve and digital asset stockpile very differently, quoting him here. The reason we structured the Bitcoin strategic reserve the way we did is because Bitcoin is different. Facts. I'm glad they recognize that. It is unique. It is a commodity, not a security. David Sachs likes to say it has the immaculate conception. I like that. Meaning there is no issuer. It has intrinsic stored value and is traditionally accepted store of value as well. We wanted to make that distinction between the stockpile and the reserve. Hell yeah. The Bitcoin strategic reserve, you never sell. You hodl for eternity. The crypto stockpile, I mean, who really cares? The White House rushed to defend Bitcoin's special status shortly after Trump announced plans for the digital asset stockpile, which included a smattering of large cap alts, which I believe is like XRP, Cardano, and Ether, and there may have been one other. Even Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick clarified Bitcoin would be treated differently for the rest of the alts listed. That's right, because the pretty little bitty is in an asset class of itself, and there's no comparing it to any of these altcoins, and even Trumpster is recognizing that, so kudos to his administration. In addition to the Bitcoin acquisition targets, the Trump admin is making significant headway on crypto legislation through the bipartisan cooperation, according to Representative Ro Khanna, California Dem. Congress should be able to pass the stablecoin bill and crypto market structure bill this year in 2025. And if you don't know, now you know. So you tell me this. Do you think the United States will actually follow through with this plan of budget neutral ways to buy billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin by selling their gold certificates for the apex predator, and as predicted, Bitcoin demonetizing gold in real time? You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'm going to leave you with a Max Kaiser quote. Gold is the poor man's Bitcoin. I repeat, especially for you, Peter Schiff, gold is the poor man's Bitcoin. And if you don't know, now you know. Broskies. And with that being shared, welcome everyone to the Q&A segment of the live stream. JV here, still live in the flesh, hour 2 of the stream.